How's it going? This is Enrique, and this is Easy Things to Draw. Hey, hey, hey. So, people really like the cast shadow drawing video. So I'm gonna start doing a series of those. Hopefully, hopefully I can get through the whole thing. And so I'm gonna take it kind of step by step into small increments. We did a cube, with lighting, and then we found our cast shadow. So I mean, I think we'll take it. The way I do that is you kind of learn one thing, and then you get more complex, and then until you kind of do anything. So what I'm going to do in this particular video is I'm going to go over the kind of a crooked wall. You know what I mean? The other one's just straight cube. Let me talk a little bit about the light source really fast. Actually, before I do that, let me talk about the tools I'm going to be using. This one I'm going to use a Zebra F301 pen. The reason I use this one, I use the other one too as well. It's like the same thing. I forget what the other one's called, 402, I think. And I just couldn't find it. I like the 402 better, but this is fine. And I use this because it doesn't. Regular ballpoint pens they build up over time, and then out of nowhere it'll let out this blot, and that angers me. So this one does it too. Don't get me wrong, but it just does it a lot less than like your regular ballpoint pen. That's why I use it, and I feel it's a little bit more fine tip than the other ones. I'm going to be using this straight edge. This is the only straight edge I have. It is my card. I don't have a ruler. Can't afford a ruler. And then I have this Copic marker that I'm going to use just to kind of show where the pattern ends up. You know what I mean? This is an N4, but it doesn't matter. It's just a marker, guys. It doesn't matter. So let me talk really quick about the light source. Really fast. So I had questions about this last time. I did this crummy little diagram. So when we're talking about, it's really tiny there. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to zoom in on it. So let me zoom in on it. So I'm talking about an artificial light source. I'm talking about, essentially that we have our post here, and it is kind of relatively close to the object. Relatively meaning closer than like the sun, right? So because of that, you're going to have this splaying out. And so the cast shadow is going to look, right, splayed out because it's coming out like that, like a flower. You know what I mean? It's coming out. Woo. That's an artificial light source, and that's usually indoors, which is a lot of the light source that we deal with. Also, on the flip side, there's the natural light source, right? This is artificial and natural light source, meaning the sun. It is only the sun. And that, instead of that splaying out motion, the sun is so far away that it kind of comes in a straight line, almost like rain, like sideways rain or whatever, depending on what time of day. It always they're parallel to each other. So the shadows will be much more parallel, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? This is whatever. Just to tell you what I'm talking about. So that's something to remember. We're doing artificial light source as opposed to natural light source. Natural light source, a lot easier. Artificial, a little bit harder. That's why we're going over that. Anyways, that's it. That's a quick note on that. So let's go over the wall. Oh, also, I forgot to tell you something about the tools. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let me zoom out a little bit more. Okay, so I strongly recommend from this point on that you use graph paper underneath. This is a regular printer paper, by the way. Regular. This is straight out of the computer. This is even the normal size, because normally I use 11 by 17. But this is a normal size sheet, stuff right out of the printer. Really cheap, ultra cheap. You can buy a ton of this for like $15, like huge, real ream, huge. And the printer, this graph paper is just normal graph paper. The only reason I say to use this graph paper is because this graph paper will control your vertical and horizontal. Because in the past, I had a hard time controlling that. You know what I mean? I'll do one thing horizontal, like vertical, and then the other thing will be kind of next to it, but it'll be kind of like, it'll be a little bit off. You know what I mean? And since you're dragging lines everywhere, when it's a little bit off, it could really, really mess you up and confuse you. So I actually suggest doing that. There's also a perspective grid, which I don't think you really need right now yet, but I will teach you how to do one when we do need it, absolutely. But right now you don't need it. Anyways, so just doing that. See, I can see it kind of vaguely through my paper. I can see this faint kind of, well, I can see it. I don't think, you can't see it on camera. But that'll control my vertical horizontal. Let's go. So the first thing I talk about, and same thing as the other video, you're trying to find the plane that this object is on. The plane is pretty obvious, right? Should be. It's not like, by plane I mean that flat surface of the ground. The flat surface of the ground is not like this, right? Because then you'd just be seeing like a straight line. It'd be like the top of the wall that we're gonna go over. It's more like this. It's angled away from us in a certain way. But that's just something to keep in mind, that you can kind of eyeball it. I'm going to place my post over here, let's say. And again, I'm going to keep my paper together so I get my vertical horizontal fine. Should staple it or something. And I'm going to put my my post, my light source. Oops, daisy. What the hell? There we go. You see that? Yeah. So that's my post. My light source is coming from up here. So the first thing you do is, okay, with this crooked wall, you have like an uneven surface. What would you do? So what you do is you divide this as many times as you need to divide it. With every weird curve and things like that. For example, this right here would be like a perfect point to figure that out. I would draw a line down. If I was doing this in just straight up pencil and I was trying to preserve the, you know, neatness of it, I would do it thinly, but since I'm doing it for demonstration, I'm going to do it very darkly. You know, I'm going to divide this wall at all the points I feel I need that change drastically. I'm going to do that. Wish I could do this on a light board to show you guys. Maybe in the future I'll do these on light boards to show you guys. It'll be... Remember, I'm dividing it dark. You don't have to do that. But if you're doing it as an exercise, that's totally fine. While I'm... Let's see, right here, picking that point, a little bit sharp of an edge. I recommend doing this on a light board if you have a light board. Those are great. Let's see, I'll do it right here. Right here, definitely that's a change. Right there. Okay, so we divided these up. All these lines are parallel. The lines like this are parallel. And we're going to do very similar, again, almost the same thing as we did with the box. I'm going to find my ground plane where this light source is grounded. I'm going to find that, and I'm going to pull that. I'm just going to pick one of these. I'll pick this. Well, I'll pick this one first to show you the obviousness of it. I'm going to pull that to the ground part of that wall. So the ground portion of that wall, I'm going to pull that out in a straight line. And I'm going to do the same thing above. I am going to grab the light source where it's raining down, and it's going to catch the edge of that wall. Let me see this. Catch the edge of that wall, and that is as far as that's going to get. And I'm going to do the same thing over here to the little parts first to get them out of the way. I'm going to grab the ground of the light source, the grounded portion of the light source, grab it, pull it to the grounded portion of the wall I want to kind of show. This is going to be wacky. It's coming at a weird angle. Same thing over here, grounded portion of the light source hits the grounded portion of that. Inside the grounded portion of that. The light source hits the top part of that wall. And this goes here. This doesn't really happen here because it's like a sliver. And that's actually a sliver too. That dot is right next to that wall. That's the reason why I said do this on graph paper, is because they'll kind of go all over the place if you do it without graph paper. Although I think at this point I don't really need the graph paper at this particular point. The graph paper was just to get control of the verticals and horizontals. Okay, so hopefully it's clear what I'm doing, right? I'm grabbing the ground point. I'll say it over and over again. The ground point of the light source. I'm dragging that and picking that segment of that grounded object, and I'm pulling that across, connecting those and pulling it out. Grabbing the light source, grabbing the top portion of that area that I want, that's going to cast that shadow, and I'm connecting those and drawing through that. And then I'm finding that. These will later be connected, and I'll show you how to do that. I mean, it's pretty easy. It's easy, you know. All this is relatively easy. That's really the truth. And it's weird because I don't see this ton a lot of art classes. See, grabbing this light source here. Grabbing that, I'm sorry, that light source. Grabbing that part of the wall there. So let me talk about this. It's kind of getting repetitive. So one thing I've been learning, especially lately, is I almost feel like the practice after you learn something is, I would say, like 80 to 90%, like 80 to 80% of everything. The practice you do after you learn it, because that's where you ingrain it and you make it second nature. That's where you practice it. You kind of put it into your muscle memory. You know what I mean? Repetition is really where it's at. You know what I mean? And I've been learning that a lot lately too. I've watched a lot of color tutorials lately, and that's something that I'm trying to get good at myself personally right now. Would be color. And I watched this like 4-hour. It was like no, it was 2-hour DVD by Richard Keys. Richard Keys is a guy that used to teach at Art Center, which was the school I went to. That one's so close right there to that other one. So close. But I watched it 2 hours, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. But the first thing I thought was, how do I apply this? When I hear about stuff, and I'm sure you watch great tutorials on stuff, and you're kind of like, okay, cool. And then you like, that was great. But then like a week later, it's almost like you never saw it. Do you know what I mean? You're not really applying it. It's not actually coming out in your drawings. That's why I really recommend, after you watch anything, like, practice it. Like, I usually practice it a minimum of like 20 times. You know what I mean? Even if it's just crap, crap sketches or something. I'm not getting the hang of it or something like that. That's how you should see my. I'm gonna show one of my bad sketchbooks on here one day. Like my animal, I think one of my older animal sketchbooks looks like garbage, and it's just like I'm just trying to get it in my memory. Like I'm trying stuff out, it's not working, but you don't get deterred by it. You don't even put any emotion into like a sketch not turning out well. You're just kind of like, okay, I didn't do it that time, so I'm gonna do it this time. All right, so I got all the points. See, I did that blot. God, I hate that. Well, kind of that blot on purpose. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of look. You have to kind of reference the wall while doing this. See, at this point, I don't need the graph, and I don't need the graph paper underneath anymore. I'm gonna connect them. So that's like I gotta look at the wall, right? I'm gonna think about that length. There's that clear giant angle, right? That I can do with this. That's a straight edge. From there to there, it's a vertical straight line, although it kind of dictates that as well. I could definitely do that with straight edge as well. I could do this tiny sliver one. That's easy. I could do that with a straight edge. It looks like a blot. That is also a straight edge. I could do that with my straight edge here. See that? Where it reflects on the ground. This one, it's kind of a straight edge. There's some slight curvature to it, but I'm going to make it a straight edge. Then it gets curved. See, you can see how those correlate to this. There is a curvature, a very slight curvature, and this is where dexterity comes in. So you're going to have to... And I think this is where the point where, especially when you're practicing this, that could totally mess up, you know what I mean? So you have to be careful, and you have to, again, be more... This is how practice comes in, and so even that, like that line's a little bit big over here, you know what I mean? I wish that line was a little bit more even. And then I'm going to look at this, where this correlates to that, and that has a slight curvature as well, and I'm going to try to imitate that exact curvature. It kind of carries through to this line. And that has more of a bubble shape right here. This one does not carry through, so that's going to have a almost separate feel to it, just slightly though. Let's see. Oh, actually, how about this? This is a carry through right here. So I'm going to try to carry that through, even though that's... man, there we go. You kind of have to, like, it's like, see that dot's a little bit high? You kind of have to force it into place, you know? That's where like experience kind of comes in. But like I was saying before, the exercises are what matters, and that's what I've been noticing a lot. Just doing stuff, having stuff to do, you know, getting better at things incrementally. So, okay, now we have our cash shadow on the floor, and I'm going to show it. I'm going to go in here and just kind of trace that thing out. Hold on. I want to make sure everything's on camera. All right, cool. Because sometimes I'm doing these. There's times I do these, and like, I realize a big part of it's off camera, and I have to redo the whole video. So that's always angering to me. I'm just going to fill this in to show you our cast shadow. So anyways, I hope this kind of made sense to you. If you have any questions below, please post them. If you like this, like the video, because that tells me automatically what to make more videos of is when you like them. You know what I mean? That is my like kind of chamber point. If you also have any suggestions for this channel, or you have any like ideas, suggestions, stuff like that, post them in the comments, or you can email me at omegaman20@gmail.com. Feel free to ask me for advice. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get more connected with everybody. I'm going to start bringing back those segments on Critique Corner. I just haven't done it lately because of camera issues. So, you know, on like recording device issues. So, but I'm going to bring that back soon. But anything else you want to do? Also, don't forget, I created an ebook, and it's free if you sign up for our newsletter. And I don't spam anybody. That's crazy. You know, I hardly send out emails. But if you sign up, that's free ebook. It's an ebook on shading. I touch a tiny bit on this subject, but I don't touch on it a lot. Anyways, let me recap what I did here. That was the uneven wall, finding the cast shadow for that, and artificial light source. The next stuff that's going to come up, I'm probably going to be doing a sphere. I'm going to be doing a like cast shadow of a sphere. I'm going to be doing the cast shadow of like maybe just like how to shade really like kind of objects like this, but that are more 3D shaped. You know what I mean? Like very rounded objects, more organic. You know, I'm going to do stuff where the light kind of hits like a roof. You know what I mean? How does that roof make a like where's that cast shadow light, right? When it's like a roof. You know what I mean by roof, but like an awning or something. Things like that. That's coming up. Thanks a lot, guys. Check out that ebook. Do me a favor and check it out and write to me about it. All right. See you guys.